Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Dungeons & Dragons WARDUKE Ultimate Action Figure. I guess they got this from Wizards of the Coast before Hasbro bought them? Is that how that worked? And that's why NECA's got these two figures before? I don't know what's going on with that. If anybody knows about the licensing, feel free to share in the comment section below. I'm sure some people will find that interesting. I don't know very much at all about Dungeons & Dragons, but I know a lot of you guys asked me to review this, and when NECA offered it to me as a review sample, I said, yes, for sure, I'll review it. I can review the figure. I don't need to know the lore behind the character, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. There's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands to the top of his head, not counting his helmet, about 19 centimeters, and that is going to be closer to 21 centimeters, including these things right here. That's going to make him roughly, let's just say 7.5 and then 8.25 inches. Here he is up against Darwin, your Marvel Legends stand-in, so he's definitely got some serious size to him, which I think is appropriate for the character based on the imagery I've seen, so that's pretty cool. Now, before we get into the review, let's do a quick question of the day. Are you into Dungeons & Dragons? And are you going to get this? They don't have to be the same answer. Some people might just buy this because it's a really cool looking character, which is what I think. It looks really, really cool. But I couldn't care less about Dungeons & Dragons, that kind of thing. So let me know what you guys think about that. And then one real quick note before we get into the rest of the meat and taters. This Saturday, I'm celebrating reaching 200,000 subscribers by doing a live Q&A on my channel right here. It's just going to be me fielding questions from you guys, and it'll be as interesting as your questions are. They don't have to be action figure related. They could be anything you want, and I'll answer as many questions as I can in the amount of time I've decided to do it by the time I'm doing it. So tune in for that. I'll have some posts before the time comes, but that'll be right here on the channel. Okay, let's talk about the aesthetic on this guy. I love it. The reason I love it is not the character design, though that's pretty cool. I love it because NECA did a really good job with the finish. All of the flesh tones are nice and matte finished. It looks really, really good, and there's a lot of shading on it, even though it's very subtle. Subtle shading's the best shading, if you ask me, and I think it looks great. There's really nice paint job going around on the fur. All of the armor has the appropriate paint. Some things are metallic, some things are kind of glossy, some things are satin. The metal on the arm and leg are kind of a duller finish. It looks really good. They did use a real chain to hang this little scabbard down here, and that's nicely detailed. Nice little bit of grime on there. All of the little details are just wonderful. The paint job on this is really nice. Everything looks really, really good from a paint and sculpt perspective, except for one thing I would have preferred, and I'll bring the box up just to support my argument. I do think it would have been nicer for him to be a little bit broader across the chest and shoulders. This is more of like a Hulk, not Hulk, oh my gosh, Arnold Schwarzenegger type build, a more real, but even then, this is more of a realistic type build, as opposed to somebody who's got very strong proportions, very broad chest, very big shoulders, that kind of thing. I think it'll be fine in your display, but obviously right here it's a lot more stylized, and I think NECA would have done well to kind of imitate that. I'm not sure if they're reusing any parts. I don't think so because of the bicep swivel. I don't think there's a Dutch figure that has this, so I'm guessing the shoulders are new, and so is the torso, so I think they just chose to not do it that way, which is kind of a bummer for me, but it's a very small thing because the figure looks so damn good otherwise. The paints are wonderful. This figure comes in at only $38, and if you compare that against one of Hasbro's offerings for $35, I think you'll find that you're getting a whole lot more here in terms of sculpt, paint, accessories, everything, size, everything, other than maybe range of motion. We'll see as we go. NECA tends to favor away from that, but still, this looks fantastic. So, I'm going to give the aesthetic rating a 9 out of 10. I do think he should have been hulkier, buffer at the chest and shoulders, but otherwise I think it looks phenomenal. This is a more realistic interpretation, so I guess that's okay, I guess. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think. Alright, now as far as accessories go, we get for his armored hand, the one gripping hand, and then kind of a clenchy hand, so that's pretty cool. And then for the unarmored hand, we get two different grippy hands and a pointing finger hand. Now I have to note, the PVC they used on these hands is hard as heck. You cannot pry those fingers apart to hold the shield, for instance, or even to grab the swords appropriately, so you will need to heat them. It's not like you should or it'll be easier. You need to. Mine are, they might as well be made out of hard plastic, so be aware of that. They look nice, they're painted nice, but you need to heat them to use them, so that's definitely a bummer. For those hands, you do have a big shield, which is done really well. I love the finish on that and the flat paint in there for the eye holes. And then they did a really good job painting the soft strap on there. It's PVC, but it's nice and soft. The other handle, like I said, you need to heat the hands to get them on there, but that's a really cool shield. Love the way they did that. We have 3 different swords, or small swords, whatever you want to call them. One, well, I don't need to try to name them or describe them. You can see we have 3 different swords. They're all very cool. They do have trouble going into their scabbards, especially the curved one. I lost a little bit of paint on that getting it in the scabbard. The really big one was a tight fit, but it did go in without any problem. That's what she said. And then lastly, we have the flame effect, which is also a problem. I had a lot of trouble getting that on. I'm going to try heating it, and you'll see in the photos if I got it on or not. But if I heat it with a hairdryer, I'm thinking it should pop right on. But that's a really cool flame effect. I could tell by getting it on halfway, it looks really good. I love that. So very good spread of accessories with some flaws cooked in. So I'm going to say only 8 out of 10 for the accessories. Gripping hands that don't grip, that's kind of a problem. Swords that don't scabbard, also kind of a problem, but not that big because you can get around it, and we do have them in the package, so that's pretty cool. Also, weird note, and I guess this is just the character design, I don't know, but he has a curved scabbard right here, but the sword that goes in it is this one. And it is not curved. It's a dagger style sword, so I don't know what that's about. Weird. Okay, let's talk about the articulation. The head, at least a single, could be a double ball peg, but he's got a big bucket on his head, so you're not going to get the best range, but it's definitely enough, and there's no problems with that. It moves pretty well, surprisingly. About as well as I would expect, so that's cool. Here's a downside for articulation. All of this stuff is connected together, at least down here, but then in other places too. Like the necklace is connected right here. The necklace is also connected to his back. I don't understand why they did that. This isn't connected at the shoulder, but it is connected down here. There's a lot of connections, and that means it's not going to be able to pose as well as you would like. But let's see what happens. This piece, like I said, is not connected at the shoulder as far as I can tell, so maybe it'll flex. Or maybe it won't even have the opportunity to because the shoulder doesn't work. Let's see. That's as high as I can get the shoulder, which is horizontal. So I'll take that. That's all right. It's a stiff joint, but it did work. As far as the rotation goes, you have to keep the arm out to the side a little bit so that it's not rubbing against the muscles here, but it does have that. The shoulders are just inset so far to hide the seam. If they just popped those shoulders out a little bit, it would have looked great and functioned a little bit better. But you do get the full rotation there, other than where this is. It's a softer PVC, so it'll flex some, but don't expect it to give a lot because there's a lot of meat there. You do get a bicep swivel, that works fine. Single jointed elbow gives you a little bit better than 90 degrees and another bicep swivel. So if you need that, you have that. Here's a little bit of a problem. The interchangeable hands on this side, I haven't tried that side, we'll see in a second. They do pop off a little bit too easily. They're not loose once you wedge them all the way in. The rotation could be a little tighter, but it doesn't feel like it'll pop off too easily, but then it just comes right out. So be aware of that. Oh, also, this gripping hand is too tight. Also, I didn't mention that because I think, well, no, I guess you would be using it. So yeah, this gripping hand you need to heat as well. So definitely a bummer there. Really cool paint job right there. Let's see. On this side, we have basically the same articulation. Bicep swivel, elbow, all that's the same. And the hand does not pop off too easily. It pops off just fine, so that's good. So yeah, a little bit of a caveat here and there, but so far, it's not too bad. Let's see about the torso. Yeah, forget about the torso. You're going to get some rotation, and that's about it. There's not a lot doing. There's too much stuff going on at the waist and around the shoulders and chest. So that's pretty limited. For the hips, they're just ball sockets, and they go forward not all that far. This is kind of in the way, so you're not going to get a ton of range out of this guy. Though I'm guessing you didn't need your WARDUKE to be doing the splits and stuff. I think you'll be satisfied with the articulation unless you were really aiming for something crazy. The joints are not loose. Oh, you can almost do the splits. That's surprising. That's pretty good. The joints are, like I said, ball sockets. They're not loose. There's a little bit of squeaking, but it's not the kind that worries me, so I think it'll be okay. You do get a thigh swivel in each leg, so that's good. Single jointed knee. Gives you just about 90 degrees. I think that'll be fine. Again, they do favor aesthetic over articulation. So that knee joint on both sides will swivel at the knee and at the boot. So if for some reason you need to rotate your boot and the knee at the same time, you can do it. You've got that extra range. That's pretty cool. And then for the ankles, it's your standard hinge. So it goes pretty far back and pretty far forward, and you get a decent enough ankle rocker. So definitely not the best spread of articulation ever, but it's probably enough. I think the torso blows that it doesn't work, and the arms could be better in the shoulder area, but it's not bad. I think if you're getting this guy for the aesthetic or the accessories, then you're going to be more than happy with the articulation. If you really wanted dynamic posing, you'll probably be disappointed. I'll give the articulation an overall rating of 6. There are too many problems to go higher, but I think it is justifiable on a figure like this, where clearly there's a ton of paint and sculpt and accessories to compensate for that. You guys can let me know how you feel about that trade-off in the comment section below. But now it's time for the final verdict. I think if you're a Dungeons & Dragons fan, you should get this. Even if it's not perfect, which it's not, nothing ever is, this is a damn good figure for $38. You don't get this much paint and sculpt, unique sculpt, on anything ever nowadays. Not for that price. This is, I have a little bit of brown up here too that transferred from the strap, I forgot to mention that. This is a darn good figure, it looks good. Again, it's not perfect, but I think you'll enjoy it, even if you're not into this game. Like, I'm not at all, couldn't care less. I'll keep this figure for sure, because it's gonna look really cool on a shelf. So yeah, I'm gonna give it an overall rating of, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. That paint job and the sculpt and all the accessories, it's too cool. The heating of the hands is definitely a problem, and the limited articulation, not cool. But you can account for the hands and the articulation. I probably wouldn't use it anyway, so for this one, I'm gonna allow it. And you can decide if you want to for yourself or not. But there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.